It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here from Las Vegas. They're going to summarize what has to be the most amazing week in Windows history. We've got the Surface RT, we've got the new Windows Phone, and a whole lot more to build to talk about. It's all coming up on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 285, recorded November 2nd, 2012. My tongue hurts. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Ring Central. I love our cloud-based phone system from Ring Central. No startup cost, and Ring Central is just $20 per month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial. Buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free, up to 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use the promo code TWiT. And by the new Squarespace. Squarespace introduces a new content management system, making it faster and easier to create a high-quality website, blog, or online portfolio. Plus, more than 50 new features, including mobile responsive design. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, go to squarespace.com. Use the offer code Windows11. And by Audible.com. To download the free audiobook of your choice, go to audible.com/windows and get a free copy of Brandon Sanderson's Legion at audible.com/Sanderson. It's time for Windows Weekly, a special build edition from Las Vegas, Nevada. I give you, in the left corner, Mr. Paul Thurrott wearing the red satin trunks.
What's up?
What's up? He's at the end of a very long world tour, as is Mary Jo Foley, Paul of the All About Microsoft. I'm confused. Mary Jo Foley of the All About Microsoft blog at allaboutmicrosoft.com. Paul Thurrott of the SuperSite for Windows and SuperSite.com. It all started 3 months ago in New York City with the launch of Windows 8. Then across the country via...
3 months ago.
No, I'm just kidding.
It feels like 3 months.
Feels like 3 months.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Then across the country via train, plane, and automobile to Redmond, Washington. To San Francisco for the launch of Windows Phone 8. Then did you go to Redmond or did you go to Vegas? Wait, Redmond was the Bill Blogger Bash, the Lucky Strike Lanes.
Right.
Yep.
Now they're in Vegas.
Leo, your knowledge of our schedule is...
I've memorized it. I've memorized it.
I have a hard time memorizing what we just did.
You're trying to forget it. Are you kidding? So when we last talked, it was at the launch of Windows 8. I hadn't received my Windows RT tablet. You guys got yours for the first time. In fact, we showed it on the best of. Paul and Mary Jo dropping the tablet live on
the damn
screen.
thing still works,
and it still works. Darn it!
That wasn't even planned. That was an accident.
Well, it was a happy accident. And then there's new Windows phones, and boy, there's just a lot. There's a lot to digest. So let's start. I guess we should start with the big ass tent. A report from Build.
Yes.
Mary Jo Foley.
I probably don't complain a lot, but I think today what I'm going to do is turn it up a notch.
What are you going to complain? What is it, Paul? What is it you hate? What are you unhappy about?
Microsoft did their event on campus this year, and I'm sure that was exciting for a lot of the attendees, but clearly they must never, ever, 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 ever do that again.
Why not?
Because they are just not set up for that kind of crowd. And that big-ass tent that Mary Jo was talking about was a disaster of getting people in and out of there in the pouring rain.
Ugh.
And in the mud and muck, and it was like the end of the Titanic.
Well, how could they have expected rain, though? It's never rains in Seattle.
Yes, exactly. So
it doesn't ever usually rain like that, right? It usually drizzles.
Are we looking in the right? No, we're in the opposite direction. So I look at you.
What are you complaining about, Mary Jo? You missed Hurricane Sandy. It could have been a lot. You think that was rain?
I know.
I got rain.
I missed that. I'm glad I missed
this
that.
is good because now I can throw things at Mary Jo.
Nice catch. Look at
What's great is there's some sort of curvature to space-time because he throws it to his left and it arrives to her right.
Right. I'm using the gravity of the Earth.
It's the slingshot effect. He's
it's Angry Bird Space.
Oh, that's it. Very nicely done. So, is this the first time they've done Build in Redmond at the campus? No.
Yeah. They did a PDC on campus, maybe like what year was that? 3 years ago they did. 2010.
Recently?
Yep, 2010 PDC was on campus. But we were inside the buildings then. We were inside Building 34, I think. And this time, we were in the big-ass tent. Then we were in Building 92, then Building 33. They were shuttling us around.
Now, do they number sequentially? Because if they do 92 and 33 or 16...
Leo, let me paint you a picture of how far apart these two buildings are. There is a highway that cuts through the middle of Redmond and thus through the middle of the Microsoft campus, the 520.
Yeah.
Building 92 is on one side of that highway, and Building 33, which is the Executive Briefing Center and next to the Big S tent, is on the other side of that highway. I'm not saying it's not possible to walk there. It's just not possible to walk there between sessions. Like that would be a walk.
Yeah. It'd be like the Appalachian Trail. You'd have to bring
it's Oakland and San Francisco.
Oh dear.
Yeah. It's not that far, but they're far. Right. They're far apart.
Well, let's put it this way: if you wanted to fly there, you could probably get an airplane that would do it.
Yeah.
And they didn't give you jetpacks, huh?
No jetpacks.
All right. So, well, what the heck? How many people were there? That's one thing. This is a success. There were thousands of developers there, right?
Yeah, there were 2,000 people there.
That's great. And it's developers only?
Yep.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, that's a pretty and journalists, of course.
And us, yeah.
That's a pretty good sign, though, isn't it? I mean, does that mean that there's a great turnout?
Yeah, it was. And they turned a lot of people away. And there were good parts to it, too. We shouldn't just totally bash it, should we, Paul?
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
So, no. Actually, I have to say, I did have this, I won't call it an epiphany, but a moment where I was looking at these masses of people and them trying to get around and everything. And it occurred to me that, Build last year, when they introduced Windows 8, last year, right? Last year, it seems like it was 10 years ago. Whenever they introduced Windows 8 and the Windows 8 developer platform, the people who showed up at that show had no idea what they were getting into. And you have to think some of them were very disappointed and were thinking, maybe I don't want to go down this route and, this isn't for me and so forth. Everyone who came to this show knew exactly what they were getting into. They all came here for this Metro developer platform stuff. And I think that says something very interesting because it's easy for us in our ivory towers to kind of, dump on Windows 8 or dump on Metro or dump on Windows RT and everything. But, the reality is the people that really matter most think that this thing has a future. And they were clearly very enthusiastic about it.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
I think the best thing about it was actually the day one keynote. We didn't know who it was going to be. They didn't tell us in advance. And it was Steve Ballmer.
Oh, wow.
But what was interesting was it was all Steve Ballmer, and he did his own demos using his own account. Like he was showing us working on the Surface using his Microsoft email account. It was his real account.
He did that with I saw an ad with him on his phone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Was that for the Build? That was for Build 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, they showed that too during the.
And there was some thinking that this might be the campaign for Windows Phone 8.
Yeah,
kind of like Leo will remember what's on your PowerBook.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. But that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because you get to see, I think it's a really good way actually to market Windows Phone because it is so personal.
So Mary Jo brought up Steve Ballmer being there, and I'm glad she reminded me of that because it felt like it was 17 days ago or something. But actually, in many ways, his presentation, which involved hands-on demo with his own data, his actual Windows...
I think that's amazing, yeah.
Was amazing. And it was... honestly, the best, I got to really think through this, but I think it was the best Microsoft demo I've ever seen ever.
Because it was genuine.
It was natural. You could tell he really used it.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have to prep him for it.
Yeah.
And
that's what you want.
And he was really good at just ad-libbing humor and, reacting to things. It was amazing. It was just amazing.
This is completely not public, so nobody knows.
No, it's you can watch it on Channel 9.
Oh,
they
good.
Posted
And please do, by the way, because it was amazing. It was amazing.
Well, here's a guy who's been using Windows 8 for a long time now, presumably, and has really gotten to know it, has an investment in it, is passionate about it. I think that sounds like a perfect guy to do the demo.
And, it should be noted that there are a lot of people who are detractors of Steve Ballmer because of Microsoft's performance over the last few years. And, should he be ousted? Is he the right guy? He's a salesman, not a technologist and everything.
Yeah, I was one of those guys.
Sure. No, I get it. I mean, but this presentation was fantastic. It was one of the best things I've ever seen, in the scope of this type of thing.
Right.
It was amazing.
I think it was actually, I was thinking about this a lot. It may have been the best Steve Ballmer keynote I've ever been at.
Whoa.
And I've been at a lot of them over the years. And what made this so good, like Paul's saying, is he was funny, he was self-deprecating, but he was really playing to the audience in a way that you didn't feel like this was like all scripted, that he was going to not be able to do certain things or that things weren't going to work. He was showing himself actually doing this in real time.
Yep.
So it made it cool. It made it really interesting.
I guess we shouldn't say who we talked to, but we talked to some people in Microsoft PR later, and let's just say they were biting their nails during the entire.
We said, "Don't do it, but you can't say no to.
Yeah. I literally think they said you're not doing this. We're going to give you data to work with, and he said, "No, I'm doing my stuff."
It's high risk, high reward, as I know, because I use my own stuff and show my own stuff, and sometimes it gets a little too personal. But the reward is exactly what you're saying now, which it was genuine, it was real, and it really showed his real enthusiasm, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, we thought Steven Sinofsky was going to be the keynote because when we came into the tent, he was sitting in a few rows behind us, and I'm like, oh, he's going to do the demo, and then Ballmer comes out and does the demo. It's like, whoa, okay.
I would, the only thing that would have been more amazing is if Scott Forstall had done the demo. Then that would have been mind blowing.
I'm waiting for his mea culpa moment where he says, actually, I have been pushing this iOS crap on people for a while.
Wouldn't it be funny? I was wrong. Windows 8, it's the new thing.
No, it wasn't that he was wrong. He just couldn't say it before.
Right. I couldn't admit it. I knew it was bad.
He's going to bring his leather stitching to the Windows 8 app.
That's the only thing missing.
The tiles will look like notepads with a dog-eared corner.
No. That actually is an interesting. Maybe the folks at Stardock could get to work on that. Windows 8 Leather Edition.
Jeez, that's a different kind of market altogether. It's the kind where it sticks to the inside of your pocket and you can't get it because
there's suction involved. No, I'm sorry, that's the pleather edition. So they said 4 million upgrades in the first 3 days. 4 million down, 496 million to go.
I try to interject one more time, but I just wanted to thank Mary Jo because not only does she remember what happened this week, but she's written it down in the form of notes. I had nothing to do with this. I am so worthlessly out of it that I don't know what this show would have been if she wasn't here, because it would have been me drooling,
I have a cold bottle of Fin du Monde waiting for you, Paul.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We did that last night.
Did you? Good. I'm glad there was beer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm going to go and look. It's online on Channel 9. You can see Steve Ballmer's demo. And did you learn anything from? You guys already know everything there's to know. Right?
I mean, we didn't really learn much, and I don't think a lot of the developers learned much either. But I think they just loved it. That here's a guy who seemingly believes that they're going the right way and they're doing the right thing. It felt like he actually is on board with this.
I'm sure the captain of the Titanic felt the same thing.
You know what I'll say? At the Windows 8 launch in New York, I ran into Steve Ballmer the day before the launch in a hotel, just impromptu. I wasn't having a meeting with him or anything. And he did not feel like himself. He was really not enthused. Like I said, you ready for tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Oh, jeez, yikes.
God.
I know. So I was like, wow,
nerves.
I hope he believes in this.
No, those of us who know Big Steve know that that's how he shows his nerves.
Is that it?
Yeah,
okay.
he gets quiet.
Yeah.
I would just fall asleep in the corner, personally.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame him. It's nerve. That must have been nerve-wracking. Do you, now in hindsight, everybody was saying, "Oh, they bet the company. It's a huge risk." Certainly, 4 million sales is not indicative of anything. Here we are a week in. Any thought?
We can't say anything about
too
that kind of stuff now. Who knows? Yeah. Windows 8 is going to be a bit of a tough sell to upgraders, I think, as software. As something that people buy. They have priced it very attractively to overcome some of that. We'll see. The Windows 8 PC picture is also kind of interesting because there's so many different device types now. It's really unclear. A lot of my email now is centered around this notion of, well, okay, so Surface RT is not acceptable, but I'm looking at these Windows 8 computers, and there's tablets that turn into laptops. There's laptops that the screen comes off. There's swivel things and flip things, and convertible laptop. What's the right one? And it really gets complicated in a way. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches, I guess. But it's that old choice thing where too much choice is kind of bad, and there's some fear that the sheer amount of choice here is going to overwhelm people. And that maybe they just end up doing nothing for the short term.
Yeah, I went on Saturday. Like Paul says, it feels like this was so long ago, but Saturday last week, I went to the big Best Buy on Fifth Avenue in New York. I was like, oh, there's going to be all these Windows PCs. Everybody's going to be in there. They're trying them. Nope. There were a couple people looking at them. I went downstairs to where the iPad table was, and that's where everybody was. And I think it's just going to take some time for people to figure out, like, hey, these are new devices. They have touch. And otherwise, you come to the store, you see a Windows display. You're like, oh, Windows, But I did also go back to the Microsoft store in Times Square on Saturday as well. And there weren't any lines that day in the pop-up store there. But what was interesting was the store was full, and everybody was all over the Surface.
You mean Marco was wrong when he said it was empty?
Yeah, it wasn't empty. It wasn't empty, Marco.
Oh, boy.
That was quite a hit piece.
Yeah.
Actually,
we're talking about Marco Arment, the creator of Instapaper, who
I did learn something this week, Leo, and that is that there are, in fact, Windows fanboys out there. And I think they have been waiting for something to cheer about for a while.
Yes.
That as good as Windows 7 is, and it was or is, whatever, it was kind of this solid evolutionary upgrade. It fixed the wrongs of Vista and so forth, and we're all very happy with that. Obviously, it's sold hundreds and hundreds of millions of copies, and that's great. It wasn't exciting, right? It's not an exciting thing.
No.
You put it on a PC, you get work done, whatever.
No. And you really, even if you did think that, you wouldn't want to say it in public.
No, it just sounds.
You'd be worked over. People would say,
you'd be worked over. Yeah. So. I think the thing with the Surface, I wrote a critical piece about the Surface because
I was surprised. You were a little more critical than I was.
Yeah, it's a piece of crap, and that's why. But
Whoa! Okay, we're going to get to that. We clearly have to talk about that.
But this actually was interesting because it triggered a lot of reactions, as you would expect to me, via email and on Twitter and so forth, by people who were using the kind of language and reaction that I typically get from Apple people, right?
Right.
Where I have insulted them in some way because I am critical of this product that they love, And I think that there is a kind of a groundswell of people on the Windows side of the fence that just kind of needed this. And they don't want to listen to criticism of it, however valid it is or not, because they're just tired of taking it from Apple for so long, that they just need this to be that Apple style thing. Like we need this, And fundamentally, in some ways, one of the problems with the Surface is that it is an Apple product, basically. This thing would never exist if Apple hadn't made the iPad. It's so clearly a response to the iPad, which has nothing to do with my criticisms of it. But I don't. It's interesting to me how excited people are on the Microsoft side by something that is essentially an Apple product with a Microsoft logo on it. It's really interesting, and so those people are out there, and that's a kind of a nice sign of life, actually, to be honest, right? Although they're not happy with me right now, at least they're there and they care. We haven't really heard a lot of that kind of stuff ever, I guess, or in a long, long time. Yeah. On the Windows side.
I don't know. I also think you and I are going to be of divergent opinions on this. Although
ironically, because you were kind of negative on Windows 8.
Yeah, but I always had this glimmer of hope that the Surface might make me like Windows 8 or Windows RT, which is actually what's running on it, not Windows 8. But I was right. I think I was really happy about probably some of the things Paul doesn't like about it. Like I don't use a lot of apps, so that wasn't a criticism for me. And everything I need is there, Notepad, etc.
Windows computing environment is embarrassing, by the way. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah.
And
it's good to get that out front so that we know what you mean when you say great.
I'm liking the Surface RT so far. But it's suited for somebody like me who's not a power user, who's more a casual user, and I'm using it like I use my iPad.
But it is, well. See, and I liked it too, and maybe it's because I'm a brain damaged from many years of Apple use. But
I couldn't say it better myself, Sarah. But
I feel like this is the Windows. This is really where Windows wants to be, not
right. By the way, that I agree with completely. And the way I describe this thing is the future of Windows.
Yeah.
We don't live in the future, which is a little bit of the problem. And that device in particular is not the future because it's really constrained from a resource.
It's also flawed in many ways. I mean, it's a first gen product. Everybody knows that.
I have no doubt that the Metro environment will evolve and improve and it will be Windows.
Yeah.
And that Windows RT is in many ways the purest expression of that future because it drops that backwards compability.
Well, in fact, I think if there's anything wrong with it is that when you use the desktop and desktop apps like Excel and Word, you actually revert to a laptop usage because you can't. The touch targets are so small.
Some of the stuff, right? It's so small. It's a list of text. And you have to tap on one of the things in the list. It's too small.
So you end up. That's why I'm glad I got the type keyboard because at least I can. This becomes now a laptop.
Sure. And that's the thing. It looks like a laptop. It's interesting. I think it was Mary Jo who pointed that out at our talk yesterday. When you use it in the most common form with a keyboard attached to it and the stand open like that, it looks like a laptop.
It's a very compact laptop, and I don't think it really succeeds that well as a tablet, only because it's thick and heavy and strangely shaped and.
So what, like a parallelogram?
Yeah, it is a rhomboid. No, it's a little odd feeling, and I think that it really. Andy Ihnatko said this too, and he said it really wants to be a laptop. It really wants to. Yeah. But when you do it like this, it's really quite usable. I like it.
Right, and I think that is why I like it because I wanted it to be more like a laptop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I did want it to be, and it is. So
now, what we should say, we're talking about Surface RT, right?
Right.
There are other tablets. I haven't played with them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah.
We'll get. I'll get to some of those when I get home. Yeah. And I'm hoping. And I've said this before. I'll just repeat this for the benefit of anyone who's not heard this. With the Surface in particular, you've got two devices. There's the RT device that's out now, and there's a Pro device that's coming out later. The Pro device is going to be running Ivy Bridge Intel processors, which are fairly high end. It's going to have a 1920 by 1080 display, which is kind of incredible for a device of that size. It's not going to weigh that much more or be much thicker than the current Surface. But those two device types are kind of at the opposite end of the scale when it comes to tablets, right? And there is a happy middle ground that Microsoft is not yet making a tablet for, and that is this Intel Clover Trail chipset, which is going to be branded as Atom. And these new Atom tablets, of which there will be many, and some are coming to market very soon, or maybe are coming right now, will offer the thinness and lightness of an RT device, the battery life, the power management capabilities, but will be backwards compatible with existing Windows apps. That device, to me, would have been the perfect first Surface if they could have done that instead of ARM. The exact same device, basically, as you're using right now, but with backwards compatibility of apps. That would have, I think, been a much better solution for more people.
Well, Paul, I had an epiphany about this morning while I was sitting there drinking my coffee in Las Vegas. You know why I think they put the Surface RT out first? So at Build, they gave every attendee three things. They gave them 100 gigabytes of SkyDrive for free. They gave them a Nokia Lumia 920 unlocked, and they gave them a Surface RT. And you know why I think they did this? Because the developers haven't been able to test their apps on RT devices because there haven't been any, right?
Right.
So maybe this is part of that too. They're like, okay, let's get this out there to these guys somehow. And
this is the only way we can get enough tablets out to developers. Okay.
Maybe. A theory.
That is the problem with RT, because if you design a game of any kind other than like a solitaire type game or a high-end app, you couldn't possibly sell it in the store without testing it on a device first. And no one has them, or now they do, but no one had them as recently as 5 days ago. So it was that was, I guess that's one way to do it. Sure, get them, build them yourself, and then give them away.
Well, it's clearly more than that,
people,
though. They want to sell these things.
I know. They want to sell these, too. But you have to get them out there and see people using them in the wild, I think. Like when I came out here, I was using my Surface RT on my plane on the way out. So I had it up on my tray table. I was in coach. A lot of people, when I've said this, have said you must have been in first class, but I wasn't. I was in coach. I had my laptop. I had it open like a laptop with the kickstand open, and I even had a mouse attached to it, and I was using it on my tray table.
Yeah, it's that small.
Yeah, it's small,
It's
but
perfectly
nobody
comfortable.
noticed, which
Well,
is funny.
isn't that funny? Yeah.
I know.
I think Ina Fried said the same thing. She had it for a couple of weeks before it came out. She said, I flaunted it everywhere, and nobody said a word. Because
Right,
it looks like a
an iPad.
laptop. Oh, it looks like a laptop. You think it looks
Yeah.
like an iPad? I think it feels like a laptop to me. So, is your recommendation, Paul, that people not buy this?
People who listen to this show are technically savvy enough to know what they want or need and don't need my advice. My advice is aimed at normal people. I think there's a psychological effect that occurs when you see something that is Windows and you think you can run Windows apps on it, and that those people are going to be disappointed, that there will be a Java plugin they need or Silverlight or some actual application like iTunes or whatever that they cannot get.
You can't watch us on it. It makes me
I know.
crazy.
People are saying that right now. They're like, I want to watch Windows
It makes me
Weekly
crazy.
on my tablet.
You have to whitelist it. I guess there's a way to whitelist stuff, but it's non-trivial.
So, and by the way, it's worth pointing out that virtually all of the complaints I have about this thing will be erased simply by the passage of time. That apps will appear, and these platform will improve, and these things are going to happen. Obviously, first generation hardware is what it is. This is a fairly slow processor with 2 gigs of RAM and not a lot of storage, and nothing is going to fix that. And so, it's that kind of device. There's all these debates you can have around the Surface and around Windows RT. We can talk about how Apple took a smartphone OS and pushed it up to a tablet, which is a fairly straightforward process, I would imagine. Microsoft took a really huge and heavy and long-lasting OS and kind of bored it down from a huge PC down to a tablet. And it's unclear. Well, it's possible they did it, but we'll see. Over time, whether that was the right approach or not. I mean, there's still part of me. I love Windows Phone, and wish they had gone in the other direction. I still do. I still look at Windows Phone and I think, geez, this would have been such an awesome system on a tablet.
So to be clear, you do not think this is appropriate for unsophisticated users?
No.
The people
I do.
You do, and Mary Jo does.
Yeah.
And the people who listen to the show can just make up their own damn minds.
I think the people who listen to this show are not people who are unsophisticated users.
Obviously, yeah.
Right. So, I think if I'm going to take this tablet, show it to my family, none of whom are tech people in the least, and I bet they're going to like it more than somebody who is a typical Windows Weekly watcher who has higher expectations.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, because if you're sophisticated, high level, you want Windows, you buy this, you are going to be disappointed. You're not running Crisis on this. It's really not ideal for a spreadsheet user. A lot of the things people do with Windows, probably it's not ideal for. If you don't have high expectations for Windows, if you just want a Windows version of an iPad, this is pretty good.
And by the way, there's probably a market for that. I think. And I've said in the past, I think there were people who walked into an Apple store and they looked at that thing and they thought, wow, it's beautiful, it's thin and light, and it doesn't run Office,
Yeah.
And this does, it does. And yeah, sure.
It's a good deal, too. You get Office, part of the deal.
Sure.
That's attractive for some.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, I showed it to Lisa, who uses Excel to do our business, stuff. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, where's the numeric keypad? I said, well, come on. It's not.
Well, you can use any
But
keyboard.
you could use a keyboard, attach it. It's a little ungainly, but, it has a real USB port, which is impressive.
Well, it also does Bluetooth, though. So
or use a Bluetooth keyboard. But she's not going to buy this if you want to do Excel spreadsheets.
You could plug it into an external monitor and use it on a giant screen. It works fine.
Yeah, or go buy a Windows 8 machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more you, right. I mean, right. So I've spent a lot of time making fun of people who buy an iPad, then they buy a cover, then they buy a dock. Then
put together a laptop.
You just put together a laptop at only 3 times the cost,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with the Surface, obviously.
Yeah. I like it, but I guess I like it because it's a pretty toy. Seriously, it's a pretty.
I'm not sure if that's an endorsement or not. I mean,
no, I mean I like. Well, I mean, I would say the same thing about an iPad. It's a pretty toy.
Too.
It's a pretty toy.
That's how I use my iPad. Like on the weekend, get it out. Look at, surf the web. Maybe look at a little work mail. Whatever.
Okay, but I have awkwardly turned into this Apple apologist over the past couple of days because the one thing I just would remind everyone is, the iPad may be a pretty toy, but it is also backed by the most amazing ecosystem available anywhere, and it blows away what's available on Windows RT, and that's going to be true probably forever, but certainly for the foreseeable future. So even though it's a sort of a beautiful toy, it does have all of the the apps and the games and the iTunes what do you call it, the educational stuff that they have on their iTunes U. It's got podcast support, which is not built into this thing. It's got music and TV shows and movies and all that stuff that we sort of have on the RT side, but not as much. So yeah, I mean, the iPad is just mature, and Windows RT is just new.
I mean, this is for people who don't mind being early adopters, right? Like, there's only 10,000 Windows Store apps right now. So you're not going to have a lot of choice, but you have to have faith, I guess, if you buy this, that the marketplace is going to grow, that apps are going to get better on Windows RT. Like even TWiT, which I have been using on Windows 8. I tried it on this, and it's not quite as good on the RT.
I don't tweet device as much as I would like to, because there's no really good Twitter client, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
I hope they update it. I want them to, because I want to keep using TWiT because I'm very accustomed to it. I use it on Windows 7, but they didn't probably have a Windows RT device to test it on. So now they're going to have to go back and make some tweaks.
How about Tweetro? Have you played with? That's the one I was using.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Okay.
In neither case do I feel like it's something I want to do a lot of tweeting from.
Although one of the announcements at the keynote. One of the new companies that are announced they're going to build a Windows 8 version of a Twitter client is Twitter. They announced that this week.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, so that's good.
That's nice of them.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, so now drop.
That will just
they're
bring
not.
us up to
Well,
the iPad.
no, they've stopped development on their Mac version. They've stopped. Right. I mean, they're not developing. The Twitter clients are kind of hit and miss. They don't do much. They want you to use the web, I think.
Sure.
So it's
but there's going to also be. We found out this week too. ESPN's doing an app for Windows 8. That's new. Dropbox is doing one.
Yep.
And on the enterprise side, SAP, Workday, and Microsoft CRM team all announced they're doing Windows 8 apps this week too. So that's good. I mean, there's people doing stuff. There's some movement on the enterprise side, which is good because there wasn't a lot of commitment there so far. So that's all good stuff.
Yeah.
I'd have to look this up to see if it's changed. But one of the other little issues of the new environment is that even Microsoft's own games for Windows do not work on RT. Minesweeper and Solitaire.
Mahjong doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, they've said that they will. And of course they will. But, it's a little embarrassing that Microsoft couldn't have gotten those things out in time for the launch. I mean, how stupid is that? Their own, their little set of 5 games that are free and kind of excellent, and you can't run them on the Surface. It's crazy.
But you're going to be able to.
I'm going to be able to fly in the future, too. I'm just saying, here we are today. I just, it's just not there.
Sad and lonely. So, ironically, Paul, who I would, if you'd asked if the Vegas line was 3-1 that he would like it.
Yep.
And the Vegas line was 3-1 against Mary Jo liking it, and I just wish that there were a Vegas line because you could have made some money on this thing. So Mary Jo likes it.
I recognize that it's the future. I just think it's not ready today.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean of course, it's a first version of something.
It's got legs. I think it's going to be okay.
Okay, it's going to be okay, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it first here, Paul Thurrott. It's like, the hurricane may be happening now, but it won't always be here. Yeah.
So it'll be okay.
And now, I was looking at all the different Windows 8 desktops, and I think there's some beautiful stuff. That Acer, that really, really thin Acer, and they all have touch screens. I feel vindicated because I had been recommending that people wait, not buy a Windows 7 machine with an eye toward upgrading it, but wait for Windows 8 specific hardware. I think you agreed with me, Paul, and I think it's apparent that that's the case, that even on a desktop, you want just a little touch.
Actually, here's a weird little bit of almost irony that came up, I think, during our talk, which is, when you use 2 computers or side by side or just in general, and one of them has touch and the other one doesn't, you find yourself touching the screen, right? On the one that doesn't have touch, and then you feel like an idiot because it's not scrolling.
Right.
On the flip side, when you use the Surface in that configuration like you have it with the keyboard, and you've got a trackpad and the keyboard, I find myself forgetting it has touch, right? Because you're kind of using it as a laptop.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there trying to make the thing scroll with the trackpad. I'm like, why isn't this working? And, I can touch the screen. It's weird. It's weird how that works.
Well, that's one reason we got to figure it out one way or the other and just make up our minds because it's confusing everybody.
Yeah. And I'm the opposite again on that, which is so weird. Like, I'm still using my Windows 7 PC. I have not yet once reached out to touch the screen. And on my Surface, I keep touching the screen, even though it looks like a laptop. It's so weird, right?
I am so tired of you.
We've had too much togetherness time this week, I think.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I'm surprised my wife hasn't called me to find out what the hell's up with me and Mary Jo. It's like I've spent the past 10 days,
That's a lot of togetherness. A lot of togetherness. Now, speaking of Mary Jo, some enterprise stuff coming to Windows 8. Some big announcements. Was this at Build that they talked about this?
This was Build. So Build Day 2. Build Day 1 was all about devices. Build Day 2 was all about services. Microsoft being a devices and services company now.
That's the new thing, yes.
That's the new thing. So Day 2 was the big announcement for me was Windows Azure is going to have a store. We've got Windows having a store. We've got Office having a store. SharePoint having a store. Now we've got the Windows Azure store. And what that is it's like a marketplace for developers that's going to be part of Azure. So you can go in and pull down different services, different data, third-party products like I'm looking for the list here. Mongo Labs and there's SendGrid. There's some Dun & Bradstreet Business Insight capabilities. And if you're an Azure customer, this is already all integrated, going to be all integrated in, so you can just kind of work in your development environment and pull in these different things from the Azure store and add them to your development environment and work with them on Windows Azure. So that's a big deal for people who want to do cloud development.
Yeah.
God, do you see what's happening here?
What?
Because of Apple, we have devices all over the place. And now because of Apple, we have app stores everywhere.
Damn them.
We have an app store in Azure,
It's Apple's fault.
It is.
That's what I said.
Why would you want an app store in Azure, just out of curiosity?
I think as a developer, sometimes you want to pull in third-party things to work with your existing environment. Like you already have Visual Studio, say, but you want to combine that with MongoDB as a service, for example. So instead of having to go all over the web, where is this? How can I add it to Azure? Is it compatible? How do I get it to work? It's already all set for you. You just go in the store, click, get it, add it to your environment. You're using it. That's the theory.
I admit to glazing over during the Azure stuff during Day 2, but it was very clearly of interest to everyone in the audience except for me. It was hugely
Why? What was so exciting?
Important. Well, because they're developers, and these are things they can consume in their own solutions.
Got it.
And so, obviously, by making life easier on developers, this is
that's an intriguing. And maybe this is the new thing that app stores for enterprise. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's the new thing.
Yeah.
Well, apps may take off in the enterprise, but I can tell you this: social networking will never take off in the enterprise.
Tell that to Salesforce and Oracle and everybody else. Yammer. Yeah, never. You know what next?
Over my dead body, Leo.
You know what next? It's social photo sharing in enterprise. That's the next bit. The Instagram for enterprise. I've invented it. I trademark it. Nobody can do it.
Well, by using the word Instagram in that description, Leo, I think you kind of screwed the pooch.
Oh, no. We're going to take a break. Maul, Thurrott, and Perry Jo Foley are with us. They are in Vegas at the Bellagio Hotel. Has the Penton Media event begun?
It has ended. In fact, but this is a good chance we're going to get kicked out of here before we're done.
Yeah. You're not doing anything here anymore, so see you later. If you would like to go down to the casino, the manager would like to talk to you.
Exactly.
So it's done. So you're going home tonight? When are you going home?
I'm going tomorrow.
Because you have no power. There's no urgency.
My power will be on tomorrow.
Yeah. Mary Jo is in a 13-story, what is it, 18?
16-story walk-up. Well, it'll be a walk-up.
It would have been a walk-up, yeah, for the last week.
Yeah.
So, but everything's okay? Like your place is fine? And
I hope so. I've been trying to call and make sure, and no one's answering the desk, surprisingly.
Well, there's no power. So, but I guess some power is coming back. The Lower East Side got power just a minute ago. So I'm hopeful that by the time you get home, you're the stinky food in the refrigerator will be
come
cold.
Home to Civilization and not Mad Max.
Mad Max.
Yeah.
What was the movie where Snake Plissken was Escape from New York? Yeah. Mary Jo is going to be.
When I left Boston on Sunday, which seems like a month ago, it was on the lead of the storm, and I looked at the board when I walked into the airport, and every flight it was like canceled, delayed, canceled, and then there was one on time, and it was mine.
Wow.
They left Boston like that plane in the movie 2012 that escapes from L.A. just as it's exploding behind it. I have no idea how I got out of there, but
he made it. So you went home in between events.
I went home after New York for
I guess
a day
that
and a
makes
half.
sense. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I like to see my kid.
So Monday was the Windows Phone 8 launch. We'll talk about that. It was kind of prescient of Microsoft to. We thought it was a little odd that they had one event Friday or Thursday in New York, and then the next Monday in San Francisco. Well, turns out they knew what they were talking about. Maybe they had an inside track on Sandy. I don't know, but
maybe they created it.
Because it did shut down the Google event, did it?
You heard it here first, people.
Google tried to steal a march on Microsoft by having an event.
We'll show you.
Then Sandy turned the Google event space into a evacuation shelter.
They stole this technology from the Chinese. It's what they used during the Olympics.
Well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we will talk more about the Windows 8 launch, what they saw there. I am excited because these phones are coming out sooner than I thought. Now I want to get in line. And so that we'll talk about that. Talk about connections, roundup of news. There's lots. This is just the beginning of Windows Weekly. But before we go much farther, Paul, you might want to grab a sandwich as the guy takes them out of the room there.
I know.
He's cleaning up. He said, "Are you using that fruit tray there? Because I got to clean that up. There's no fruit extent on the fruit tray.
Nobody's using a tray, Leo. Ixday on the tray." He cleaned up my drink. I wasn't done with it.
Oh yeah, no. There's a message. There's a message there, Paul.
I know. He's just going to lift my chair and take me away.
We'll be back with more Paul and Mary Jo and Windows Weekly, but first let's talk a little bit about my phone system. I know it's exciting, isn't it? Nothing. Hey, if you're in business, you got to buy a phone system. I hadn't really thought about this when we were over in the cottage, but we did. And so I'm moving to this big space. We got 25 employees, and I can't really. I wish I could, but I can't say, yeah, just use your cell phone. That'll be fine. No, you have to provide a phone system. So I was kind of up at a quandary. I didn't want to go to AT&T and get a PBX and all that. The good news, Russell Tammany, our IT guy, said I've installed Ring Central in a bunch of clients' businesses, and they love it. And you want to take a look at that. It's kind of a cloud-based phone system, and it's affordable. There's no PBX, very programmable. So I said, yes, we installed it, and we've been very happy. Here we are a year and a half later. Couldn't be happier. Ring Central, as low as $20 per month per user. It's completely flexible. There's no PBX. It's all in the cloud, but you get all the functionality and then some of a PBX. Faxes, incoming faxes are sent as email attachments. You have smartphone apps that you can use to make calls on the business line. So when you're calling from your cell phone, you use the Ring Central app, and we pay for the charges, and the incoming number looks like your business number. When your business phone rings, you can have it ring your cell phone too, as well as the phone on your desk. We got a special deal for people who are interested in finding out more about Ring Central. You get a month free trial, 30-day risk-free trial, and when you buy a desk phone, you get a second phone free, up to 20 phones. It's really easy, too, when you get the phones. You just plug them in. We're using Polycoms. We have a variety of different ones. Desk phones. We've got what they look like little cordless phones. A lot of our staff likes that, so they can wander around when they're on the phone. Of course, we've got the conference room Polycom teleconference phone. And it all works. Just plug it in, plug and play, basically. No startup cost, no PBX to install or maintain. Russell set up the phone tree, but I did do it, in fact. Afterwards, I made some modifications. It's just really great. Try it free, 30 days, ringcentral.com. Use the offer code TWiT or call 800-543-9980, 800-543-9980. We love our cloud-based phone system from Ring Central, and I think you will like it too. If you're building a building or you gotta get a phone system, this is a great choice. ringcentral.com. Excuse me, Mr. Sinatra's singing here. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got that vibe to it.
It does. It does. So is he smoking a cigarette? That's one of the things I don't like about Vegas. Everybody smokes in Vegas.
Yeah. I know.
They smoke in the elevators, which I find odd.
They have smoking rooms here. Like hotel rooms.
Hotel rooms. I know. You can't get that in a lot of places these days.
You can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So
it's like the 1970s here, you know.
You know, it actually looks like it. Paul, doesn't he look like it's a Polaroid shot from 1972? Is that
it's from Instagram?
It does, and it looks like you got wood paneling. It looks like you're in your dad's basement. Are those national?
Almost, I can't. It's not wood paneling. I'm sure it's
no, but it looks like it in the light. It's just a good look. I like it. It's very good. All work and no play makes Paul a dull boy. Just type that up. Oh, there he is. He's cleaning up. Shh. I'm working here, sir. Do you mind? So tell us about the phone event. That was in San Francisco. Where in San Francisco was that? I'm sorry we didn't go.
It was at the Bill Graham Auditorium at Civic Center.
That's a huge place.
It was. We were only a very small place inside.
It was one of those where they curtain off the rest of the... Yeah.
It was like a high school play, basically. It was a pretty big event, actually.
Who did the event?
Joe B.
Yep.
Okay.
Joe Belfiore.
And was there anything new that you hadn't seen? Or?
Well, Jessica Alba was there.
I heard that. She seemed a little clueless. And then that phone.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Yeah, what was the phone? What is that? Mary Jo, what is that, a 920? What is that?
It's the HTC 8X.
Oh, it's the one I should get.
Yeah.
Yes,
and you got to take it?
We get to take it.
Oh, I should.
I got to give my back after 30 days, but we get to take it.
So what do you think?
I think this is my next phone.
It's beautiful.
Yep. It's really nice, really light. It just has been a really good experience using it so far. We've gotten to use it since Monday. We've had a hands-on, and we've been using them all over the place. And they gave us an AT&T SIM in it. So AT&T hasn't been so great for me, not surprising. But it's going to be on Verizon, and that's what I'm probably going to get, it looks like.
Yeah, I like Verizon in our area because the LTE is so fast.
Right.
That's a good reason to choose it. So, Paul, you like the 8X?
Yeah, this is also my next phone. I don't have as many problems with AT&T. I just used my own SIM in it. I just switched right over to it.
Oh, so now it's your phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're never getting it back. No, but no, I don't mind buying it. This phone is so beautiful. I would say, when you look at Windows Phone in the past, the software's always been excellent. The services and the integration stuff has always been excellent. The ecosystem stuff has been good. The one area we were kind of lacking in was the hardware. It wasn't that it was bad. It just wasn't compelling looking. It wasn't really that different. I think as the minority ecosystem or the minority smartphone platform, we had to take the scraps from the Android table. So Samsung could take an S2 and turn it into a Focus, and we were just happy to have it.
Right.
And I think the beautiful thing about this phone, the thing that really sets it apart, is that this is the most beautiful smartphone there is on the planet, including the iPhone 5. It is beautiful. And you can put this right next to an iPhone 5 or an S3 or whatever, and this is the nicest looking phone. Like, all of a sudden, we're not taking scraps anymore. We've got the real thing, and it's an amazing achievement, and especially that it came from HTC, which, again, nobody was expecting them to really step it up on the Windows Phone side. They really did.
Neat. That's really exciting.
Beautiful.
Although, the one very big surprise for me at the Windows Phone 8 launch was there was also a Samsung Ativ phone there that we could hold and try. And that thing is really, really nice. I wasn't sure what to expect there. It was very light. It's even thinner than the HTC. It has the biggest battery of any Windows Phone, they told us. And it's got a brushed aluminum outside that looks pretty nice, actually. So on Verizon, we're going to get the Odyssey version of the Samsung phone. So we don't really know exactly what that's going to be yet, but that is another very nice choice to have. Although the Odyssey is not going to be available till December on Verizon, and the HTC is going to be available at Thanksgiving or around that time on Verizon.
Yeah, the not the Odyssey, but the Ativ. What is it, Ativ S? Is that what it's called?
Ativ S. Yep.
Well, it is thin. It's, I guess, the thinnest one, but it's also the biggest one, right? It's the biggest screen of any of the devices. It is. It's not quite Note big, but it's a big device.
But it was very light. Did you hold one? It was pretty light.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yep. It just doesn't look like any. I mean, it doesn't look distinctive. Yeah, the Lumias and the HTC phones were very distinctive.
Well, and that's kind of neat because last generation, the Windows Phone 7, everything was pretty much the same.
Right.
So there's some variety.
Well,
which
yeah,
is great.
you put up with a bland camera, or bland phone that no one was ever going to question. If you were out in the world with
it
a
was
Windows
okay.
phone,
Yeah.
no one was ever going to say, "Oh, what's that? That's really interesting." You know, you got a little bit of that with the Lumias. I think that would be the
Those
one
are beautiful.
exception.
Yeah.
And then with this phone, though, I mean, this people want to know what this is. You know, this is beautiful, and people hold this and they're like, "Oh my God, this is so awesome!" It's just so neat.
Yep.
Do you think? I mean, Apple got a lot of halo effect from the iPod and then later the iPhone. Moved a lot of people, I think, to the iPad and maybe even to Macintosh.
Sure.
Do you think these will help Windows 8?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to turn it, right? Because in the past we always said, well, the success of Windows 8 maybe will drive Windows Phone.
Right.
But I do think there's some chance that this phone in particular, and the Lumias too, to a lesser degree, could drive interest in Windows 8 as well. Absolutely.
These arguably are more interesting, more successful, right?
How awesome would we talked about this with Lumias, right? I mean, how awesome would a tablet designed like this, with this exact kind of form factor and this material be?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea of yours, that maybe they should have upscaled the Windows Phone instead of downscaling Windows.
I'm never going to escape that. It's always going to bother me.
Yeah.
Until they fix, Windows to be better, but it's too bad.
Any other news? Now, I remember they didn't release the SDK because there were so many great features in Windows 8 that they didn't want anybody to know about, and I'm sure they announced all of those at the event.
Mm-hmm. So, also at Connections this week, we...
Well, wait a minute. A year free Pandora.
Sure. No, I'm
that's
not sure.
good.
A feature of Windows Phone 8. Actually, there are many, many, many features of Windows Phone 8. When I was sitting down to write the article about Windows Phone 8, I mean, it is notable how many new features there are, how many improvements they've made. There's a lot of it. I think the thing you're highlighting is that between the launch, the original launch of the platform and the other day when they did the consumer stuff and formally unveiled it or formally started releasing it, everything leaked. Everything leaked.
Yeah.
And so continuing to hold on to this as if it were some secret, like, here we go, we got him, we got him now. It was just silly, because there was nothing truly new. But at least it's all there now. I mean, it was news that, Verizon will be the only one that has data sense in the beginning, right? I mean, that's exciting.
What is data sense?
It's like a data metering, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a way you plug in what your monthly plan is and what the beginning and end dates are, and then it keeps track of it for you. Oh. And it warns you if you're getting close. It prompts you to do different things. You can change settings to use less bandwidth and so forth. And so it's just kind of a proactive way of keeping on top of your data usage for those people on heavily metered connections.
That's good. Like that. Gotta like that.
Yeah.
It's good, but I wrote about that in January.
Right.
I mean, it's not
right.
It's not new. It's just
and data sense is per app as well, right? That's what somebody's saying in the chat room. Per app meter.
Well, there's different aspects to data sense. There's an app that has a tile and lock screen notifications. There's a background process. There's something that plugs into Internet Explorer. Well, actually, it's just a feature of Internet Explorer that reduces the bandwidth that it uses when downloading web pages and so forth. But I'm not sure if it monitors app by app data consumption. I'm not actually sure about that because we don't have a Verizon phone yet to test that on. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. The reviewer's guide for Windows Phone 8 that they were giving out in conjunction with the launch, wasn't it like 240 pages?
Yeah.
It's gigantic. And I was leafing through it looking like, is there anything in here we didn't know? And so I made a list of things that business users might care about around the phone. But all the things they really cared about were things Microsoft already disclosed in June.
Right.
So, a lot of developers kept saying, okay, so why do we have to wait till October 30th to get the Windows Phone 8 SDK? There
also
wasn't
met a guy when we were in New York and we had that event last week. Let me think about this. After the Windows 8 launch, I met a guy who was a developer who had written a game, and he had a second game that he was showing me that were both very high quality, very professional-looking arcade side-scroller type games, amazing stuff. And so when Microsoft announced that only some developers would publish apps in the store were going to be able to get this thing ahead of time, he said, well, obviously I qualify for this, so I'll apply. And they turned him down.
Wow.
And I have to think, if they turn down a guy like that, right, I get that, the Fart app guys aren't getting in. I understand that. But there's no need for a native, Windows Phone 8 like Fart app. Okay, fine. But like, why wouldn't you want a game developer, someone who has successfully published an incredibly high-quality game, why wouldn't you let him in? I have to think that was mostly a farce, that they had to give the impression of opening this up because they explicitly promised they were going to back in June, and I don't think they really did. I mean, obviously some people got it early, but I think they had already pretty much decided who was going to get it and who wasn't, and I just found that whole thing to be just horribly done. Yeah, horribly done.
Too bad. Kind of a shame.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you all got 100 gigs of SkyDrive. Didn't we all get that with our Windows Surface tablets? No?
No, only, and not, we didn't either. Only paying attendees got it. So not press either.
Oh.
What do we have now as our maximum on SkyDrive? If you were like grandfathered in, what?
25 was grandfathered.
25, right?
And then you could buy 100, and so the maximum you could have today would be 125.
But you'd have to pay for the 100.
If you paid for it, yes.
Right.
I wanted to get the 100 free because I wanted to see if I could add it to the 125 and have 225. But I didn't get the 100 free, so.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm just disappointed.
That means a lot to me.
This is the first time, by the way, that I am reading your show notes in OneNote on Surface RT, and I kind of like it. I'm using the OneNote MX, which is no longer called OneNote MX.
Right. Which somebody noted this week that MX would have been the ideal name
for Metro.
Right. Just call it MX.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fits in with Win32 a bit. It's not that's not bad.
Well, I still don't know what RT stands for or why it's not Windows 8.
It's runtime. RT is runtime.
It can't be. That's what the kernel
is. Yeah, that's why it's so confusing. Yeah.
These guys just don't. It's amazing. For all the stuff they get right, man, they just can't do some of this stuff.
You know what they don't get enough credit for, though, by the way? This is Windows 8 ported to ARM.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
It's a technological achievement.
It's a technological feat.
But, yeah.
Meh.
I don't know.
Users don't know or care. They don't know. They don't care. I understand.
In my new role as Apple fan, I would point out that Apple ported OS X to iOS and also to an ARM-like chipset years ago.
That's true.
So, I mean, it's, great.
Well, they're not the first.
I'm not saying they're the first. I'm just saying they did it like 6 years before Microsoft did. I know. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm like defending Apple.
You're in deep trouble. You're not. You're going to be people are going to turn on you.
I'm actually I'm a little sick to my stomach. I think I'm going to throw up.
You're going to start iWeekly. iWeekly, the new show on TWiT.
We are starting a new show on TWiT, by the way, based on Metro. I'm sorry, MX. I mean Tiles. So there. And I hope you guys will
you know what we learned this week at Build? We forgot to mention this. They had a session at Build about what the new name for Metro is.
They had a session?
Well,
like a whole session on that?
Way. But so they made it even more confusing than it was.
They were looking for good ideas from the audience,
I know.
Oh, that's sad.
Brother, can you
what should we call it? Yeah, brother, can you spare a code name?
So listen to this. I think this is even more confusing now. So if you have an app that was formerly known as Metro Style app, you call that Windows Store app. We already knew that, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
But now, if you want to talk about the UI and the quote design philosophy that was called Metro, now you're supposed to call it Microsoft Design Language.
That rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, sure
that
does.
That flushing sound that you hear, Leo.
Catchy.
I think we're going to call it Muddle.
Muddle.
MDL.
Muddle.
Yeah.
Microsoft Muddle. What are you using? Microsoft Muddle.
Muddle.
Exactly.
I'm muddling through it.
Are you going to do a Muddle app? Or are you? Yeah, it's a Muddle app. Yeah, it's Muddle. I use Muddle.
It's the end result of indigestion. It's just.
Let's see here. Anything else you want to say about? You like your 8X? I know that.
Should we run through who's getting what when? I can.
Yeah. What handsets? Okay. And is there a dark horse handset? It's basically a T from Samsung, which you guys sounds like you liked. All right, the 920 from Lumia,
which not announced on any carriers in the U.S. The
Although the Ativ Odyssey is coming to Verizon, we know.
No, I know, but the Ativ S, the one we knew about months ago, not appearing on any U.S. carriers.
Okay.
So that phone that we really liked, I guess we're not.
And then there's the 920. Are there any other notable phones?
Let's see. So Sprint's not getting anything.
Sprint's going to have it next year.
Yeah, they didn't even mention Sprint at this event at all, like even promises about Sprint. They said Verizon's going to get the HTC 8X, the Lumia 822, which is the 820 equivalent, not the 920. And they're both going to get them by Thanksgiving. 8X is going to be $199 for 16 gigs if you're on contract. And the Lumia 822, $99 on contract. Verizon also gets Ativ Odyssey, which we don't really know what that is, not till December of this year. T-Mobile gets Lumia 810, which is the 820 equivalent, for $99 on contract. And they also get the HTC 8X, like we have, for $149 on contract. And they get it on November 14th. So T-Mobile gets it before Verizon. AT&T, we didn't even hear anything about AT&T. They're going to have the Lumia 920. They're the ones that have it exclusively, but no dates and no pricing were still disclosed, although there have been leaks on both, but nothing.
I think AT&T is going to announce that themselves.
You do. Yep. Yeah. Also, all 65 Microsoft stores, which are the brick-and-mortar stores and the pop-ups, are going to have every Windows Phone 8 device for sale in every color option.
Oh, good. So that's the place to go then.
It is. Yep.
Forget
and we didn't hear nothing about Windows Phone 7.8, which a lot of people have asked us about, too.
That's the upgrade for existing Windows Phone users.
Yep.
I did get a word, but the word was no comment.
Oh, yeah,
and,
that word.
and I don't know if you saw it. There was a rumor, I think it was posted today, someone had seen something on a Microsoft website from a different country that since got pulled that said something about Windows Phone 7.8 coming out, what was it, by the end of the year?
Yeah.
Something like that. I think we both expected it to come out now. Like, I'm kind of shocked it wasn't instantly made available to everybody on the day of the launch, over the air, the right way, but nothing.
Nothing. That is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Well, there's the carriers. That's who has it, what models. And if you go to a Microsoft store, you'll be able to see all of them together in one place, which is kind of what you want to do, even if you don't buy it there.
And Europe gets them starting next week on different carriers. They didn't itemize which carriers won, but Europe is getting them before everybody. So next week.
Yeah.
Starting it.
But we're getting it before Thanksgiving, so that's just a couple weeks. That's not too bad.
Not bad.
Yep.
All right. And the SDK, any comment on it now that developers have actually seen it?
No, it's curiously similar to the one I saw a month or so ago. It's weird.
Wonder why that is.
Yeah.
Okay. Take a break. Come back with more. We're talking to Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. They're in Vegas where they just wrapped up Connections. We'll talk about that in a second. But first... I have an Audible ad, Paul, but I'll save that because I know you have a book you'd like to talk about.
Okay.
Did you see, though, this was kind of a neat story. Squarespace, our sponsor, is hosted at Pier 1 Network Operations Center in New York City. That's where the main servers are. And, of course, Pier 1 is down there in the Lower East Side, was knocked out. Power was out. But they had a generator, but the basement was flooded. So the generators in the basement couldn't. There was one generator on the 17th floor, and they ran it, and it kept Pier 1 going until it started running out of diesel. So the folks at Squarespace, Anthony Castellana, the founder, and others, and some other companies that run on Pier 1 servers, went over there and they formed a bucket brigade up 17 stories of diesel fuel to keep that thing running, and it kept running all night. It's just one. So your blog did not go down. It's just one of those things that just makes me really impressed. That's the commitment. The founder of Squarespace was there ferrying diesel fuel up 17 floors so that your silly little blog.
Wow.
Well, maybe it's not silly. It's not silly to you. But that's why, if you are somebody in the arts, if you're somebody, a photographer, if you just want a great website that's just reliable as heck, you should be looking at Squarespace. These guys care an awful lot. The new Squarespace is the best content management system on top of the best hosting ever, and you could try it free for 2 weeks. You don't need a credit card. Just go to squarespace.com. Click the try it free. I think it says get started. Pick your template. There's many great designer templates, but they're just starting points. So let's say you're a photographer and you want to try a portfolio. Not only can you set this up in minutes, but you can import the data from your existing Squarespace blog. Tumblr. What do they have? They have importers for WordPress, Blogger, TypePad, all of the big APIs. Just import it right in, which means not only will your content be in this new beautiful design, but also your comments, your images, all the SEO is preserved, so you can really see what it looks like. If you're a photographer, an artist, a designer, an architect, it's just amazing. Now, it's also, they do responsive design, which is the latest, greatest thing. In fact, that was probably the biggest part of the rewrite for Squarespace 5. Squarespace 6, it was to get the responsive design here so that when when you're looking at it on a mobile phone or a 27-inch display, it's the same site. It just sizes itself appropriately. That's really important for a photographer. Control how it looks. Control what, every aspect of it, even if you're not a web developer. And if you are a web developer, if you know CSS and JavaScript and HTML, you get full control too. Git is supported, SFTP for secure upload. I think Squarespace, these are the guys know their stuff. They make it easy for people who want a simple basic site. They make it sophisticated for those who want that. Try it free for 2 weeks. They're so confident that you'll like it, you don't even need to use a credit card. Just sign up and start using it. But if you do decide to buy, I want to suggest, by the way, the price is very good. Look at that unlimited plan. Everything. Unlimited, $16 a month. That includes unlimited bandwidth, storage, unlimited pages, galleries, and blogs. $16 a month. If you buy an annual plan, you get a custom domain free, and they'll wire it all up for you. Give it a try. And if you do decide to buy, please use our offer code, Windows11. Windows11. You'll get 10% off your first purchase. Make it a year purchase, and that way you'll save the most. Squarespace.com. Try it free, and if you decide to buy, use the offer code Windows11. And Anthony Casalena will ferry diesel fuel up 17 floors to keep your site alive, even in a hurricane. Amazing story. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. It's kind of been a hurricane. It's the aftermath of the big Microsoft announcements. It's all over now, kids. You can go home, be with your families. Remember the hurricane that was Windows Phone 8, Windows 8, Surface RT, Windows RT. We'll never forget those days, will we? Oh, I turned their mics off.
Oh, he doesn't hear
Go
us.
ahead. What? I wanted a monologue for a little while.
Yeah, really. It's like now he's just riffing. What's he talking about?
Connections kind of wrapped it up. This is the Penton Media event that you guys are in Vegas for. You guys, did you present together?
Yes, we did.
Oh, how cute.
Yep.
That's great. What'd you talk about?
I did an extra one, too, by myself.
I ridiculed her from the front row.
You did. He sat in the front row and ridiculed
threw popcorn at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked about reading the Microsoft tea leaves and what's next after all these announcements.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. She knows a lot about Microsoft.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. And then we did this session together. That was fun. It was kind of like open Q&A with the audience. It was like doing Windows Weekly with the audience. You know?
Open mic night.
Had some of them seen the show?
Oh, yeah. A lot of them had seen the show.
That's a relief.
Yep. Lots of fans in the audience.
Good.
At everything we went to this week, I have to say, there were Windows Weekly fans. Every event, every party, everybody came. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Hey, yeah, how'd the Build Blogger Bash go?
That was great.
Yeah, I saw pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the Facebook and elsewhere.
That was good.
Fun event.
And then I got to meet Ayaz and Alex.
Yeah, the hosts of our
you did.
someday future show. You guys rode in a vehicle of some kind together. I saw a picture. Was it a paddy wagon? I'm not sure, but
I think it was at that point. It was right when the Giants won. We were trying to get back to our hotels. And
it was kind of funny to watch your and Paul's posts.
It was unbelievable.
Paul arrives in San Francisco and for some reason unaccountably headed straight to AT&T Park.
I know. I don't know what that guy was thinking. I was watching the game on the plane because they have satellite TV on the plane. And, of course, it went extra innings, so I missed the end of it, I thought. And then I get in the cab, and he's listening to the game, and he turned it off. And I said, no, put that back on. And we're talking about the Giants, we're talking about baseball, and he's taking the off ramp, and they win the game. And I look in front of us, and we're right in front of the stadium. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why would you go this way? We sat at an intersection for like 20 minutes. We couldn't get out of there.
No, of course
not. It was
not.
just surrounded by people that were rocking cars, and firecrackers were going off, and it was insane.
I did find that interesting that you went that way.
I know. I couldn't believe he did that.
And I'm sure you were tired and you wanted to go home. Go to your hotel
yes. It was just, I mean, I celebrate this win as much as anybody, but can I go to bed now, please?
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so the connections went well, and everybody loves Paul and Mary Jo, and you all, thank goodness, watch Windows Week.
And the end.
The end.
No, it was good. I mean, it was tiring, obviously. You know, the day of the Build Blogger Bash, I got up at 5:30 or something, and I went until 1:30 the next morning, you know.
Wow.
And by the time I went to bed, I mean, my eyes hurt, my tongue hurt. I was like just...
What were you doing? I don't want to know.
Oh, man.
It's okay. It's okay. But when you have a flagpole and it's freezing cold, please don't lick the flag.
Yeah.
Just to, it's a little something from my experience.
Sure. Yeah. It was a long week, Leo.
I just got home from Build Blogger Bash, and boy, is my tongue tired.
I went to build, and all I got was this lousy Surface.
I'm jealous. You got the 8X. That's the one I really want.
Yeah. No, it's the one everyone's going to want. I mean, it's so excellent.
So now there is actually Microsoft news, it looks like.
What?
It says Microsoft News Roundup from the week.
Oh, thank God. I thought something else happened.
Oh, yes. No, I don't. I'm not looking at the news. I try not to during the show. I don't want to be surprised.
Okay.
No, it happens sometimes that some big story happens while we're in the middle of a show.
Of course, yeah.
Mostly about other things. Mm-hmm. Channel 9, though, does have the Build 2012 live, so that's cool that you can watch all
And actually, we should point out, this should have been my tip of the week now that I think of it. All of the Build sessions are going to be, and some of them probably already are, available to anyone who wants to watch them. You can download the videos. You can download the presentation. So if you did not come, or even if you did, and you just want to keep this stuff or watch it offline or whatever, it's all there. And that's one of those excellent things that Microsoft does. They just make all of this stuff available fairly instantly, right? Is some of it up now? I don't even know.
Yeah, there's over 100 sessions are up already.
That's so cool.
That's amazing.
That's nice to give that away. That's great.
Yep.
From the Wall Street Journal today, this story, Microsoft working with component suppliers in Asia to test its own smartphone design. Did you see that?
Yeah, here we go again.
You don't. Do you believe it?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Why boo?
Because it's unnecessary. I think the crop of phones we have now is excellent, and I think Microsoft's getting a little carried away with the do your own thing. Just doing a little too much of that.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, if they do this, are the partners going to stick around? Because, on Windows PCs, they don't have a lot of alternatives. Like, where are you going to go if you don't make a Windows PC, right? But on phones, there's a lot of places to go, namely Android, if you don't like what Microsoft's doing. And it'll be sad because finally HTC is on board. They're doing a great phone. Nokia's like all in with Windows Phone. And if Microsoft comes out with a Surface phone or their own phone, why as a partner are you going to stick around? I don't see why you would.
Yeah.
Yep. That would just destroy the whole thing right there.
But yet it fits in with what they've done with Surface, right?
Yep.
It seems that we have a Surface tablet, Surface desktop. Why not a Surface phone?
Yep.
But the thing is, there were reasons why you do a Surface on the PC. The PC makers, in many ways, are the worst thing that ever happened to PCs. They put crapper on there. They screw up the boot times. They ruin everything. Windows Phone doesn't have that problem. None of these guys were ever able to destroy the Windows Phone experience. That was one of the points of this platform. So the need for it on the PC side does not exist on the phone side.
Right.
I think the way I described it this morning in Short Takes was that it was both unnecessary and unwelcome.
And risky.
Yeah.
The only one who stays with you is Nokia, and even Nokia has other choices.
And you got to think even those guys would be like, all right, how's Android looking these days? That's just that would be a knife in the back of Nokia.
Yeah. I know, it would.
Or as Steve Ballmer calls them, Nokia.
Which is right? Nokia?
We're never going to get it right, and now that I've said that, someone's going to write in and explain to me exactly how it's pronounced.
Non-stop.
But honestly, I've heard it pronounced multiple ways by people from that company. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's still a little tiny hope that maybe what Microsoft's doing is building a reference platform and not building their own phones. Because I think the Wall Street Journal story actually said they're not sure if whatever this is they're building is going to come to market. That's what their sources said. So maybe it won't.
Could just be. Here's what it looks like, and yeah, that's the problem. I mean, if you were gonna do that, a prototype, you would probably do it in Asia.
Yeah,
that's where everything's made anyway. And maybe you do like Google does. Now, Google gets away with doing a Nexus reference design,
right?
And it's the pure experience. New Google has to do that because people crap up Android phones so much.
But that makes sense, right? Because that's the PC model where Android is wide open, and the people the companies that license Android are able to muck around with it. So you see on the HTC devices, you see on Samsung devices, and so forth, these custom UIs that sit on top of it. So it makes sense that Google would want to do a sort of a pure version of Android, if you will. Or God, let's not forget about Amazon, which turns it into something completely different.
Right. Doesn't even call it a Google thing.
Yeah, those guys all compete with each other. I don't think there's a problem there. In many ways, you could argue that Microsoft doing the Surface is just what Google has been doing all along, and that maybe there is in fact a precedent for it. But again, on the Windows Phone side, I just don't see the rationale for that.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they don't. Office 2013. Now, am I, just to clarify this for me, am I using 2013 on the Surface RT? That is 2013, right?
Actually, Leo, do this. Tap on, say, PowerPoint and just launch it.
Okay.
And when the orange box comes up in the middle of the screen, what does it say?
Well, I'll tell you in a second. First, I've got to go to the desktop, and then I've got the PowerPoint icon. By the way, the icons went black. It says Office, just Office.
Just no. What? Huh? No, it doesn't say Office, Leo.
What does it say? Wait, let me do it again. PowerPoint. It says Office, just Office.
Wait, what?
You don't believe me? Look, I'll show you.
No. I mean the splash screen.
Yeah, Office.
It's no.
Look, I'll show you. You don't believe me. I know you don't.
I don't.
So
I don't believe.
See,
it says OneNote.
No, okay. Yeah, that was OneNote. It said Office. Oh yeah, it says PowerPoint.
I asked you what it says.
Well, I thought, it's a given that it says PowerPoint. I thought you meant in the upper right hand corner. Yeah, it says Office PowerPoint.
Oh, PowerPoint. I'm sorry, I was looking for the middle part. All right,
yeah, so the middle part. Okay,
that means that you have the. Sorry, let me clarify what
I got the final one because I had to. By the way, non-trivial figuring out how to do that.
Which is why I had to write an article about it.
Thank God you did. You can't just run RT Surface Update.
I know, isn't that crazy?
You'll still be using the preview edition.
They don't get it. They can't do the final fit and finish thing. They just can't do it.
Well, this makes me feel that the desktop is glommed onto this thing. That it's not even. It's just off. It's a bag hanging off the side.
Wow. That's
no. That's really when
even I would go that far. But it is. Okay, well, that's a new way to describe it. It's a Frankenstein OS kind of a
Frankenstein.
Thing.
Okay, that's another way to say the same exact thing. It's exactly.
By the way, for whatever it's worth, I do think that update will eventually make its way to the Metro thing. And
but why isn't it now? I don't think. I would say 99% of the people who would buy a Surface RT tablet will never. They want it, and they will never know how to do it because.
Here's one, Leo. How about you run one of the apps and it says, "Hey." There's a new version of this.
Yeah.
You probably want it.
Yeah.
Click here to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, how many out of 100 people do you think would actually click yes on that thing? Like 99?
Yeah.
No, I don't want the new one. I want the old one.
Yeah.
That's why I bought Windows RT, because I want the old one.
Or, since they have an update mechanism for Windows RT, maybe just hook it into that.
Well, it is hooked in it, but it's just not. Right now it's an optional.
Its desktop update is different than regular update.
Yeah, it's the same backend, but yeah.
I know. That's what really makes me crazy. So when I do Metro Update,
I know
it should update it. Look, it says update, so that's good. Okay, there must be some updates available.
This is not the reason, but it is an example of the reasons why I am so insane. It's this kind of thing.
See, it says updates. That's good, but it doesn't update Office.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because why? Because Office is not available through the store.
It's not an app. So this is the app.
Right.
But
it's not a Windows Store app. It's just a desktop app.
But then that's weird because when I go to desktop and I type update,
I know.
It doesn't. It's not the same.
You can't do it from desktop. You do it from start.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now I do update. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
You're looking for Windows Update. So now you got to click on Settings up there on the side.
Right.
On the
So it's not in Apps. Well, it's in Settings. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Windows Update. Yeah, let's get. But that's the Metro one. Check for updates. No, I got everything. Well, no, but. So just for people who haven't read it's all there on the SuperSite for Windows. But how do I update Office?
This is the reason why I'm so insane. No, because I look at things like this and I think it's just not logical.
No, it's not.
The goofy thing is you could talk to someone from Microsoft about this. They can explain exactly why this was not only okay but preferable and by design. Like they have reasons for this, I'm sure, or at least excuses.
But why is it listed as an optional update? That's the other one. The word optional.
The way that these updates work is they go through phases, and in the beginning, they phase it in as an optional update so that people who really want it can go make it happen manually. Eventually, it will get surfaced in the, pardon the pun, in the Metro one. And then eventually, I would imagine it actually becomes a required update, and it will, in fact, automatically update, and you'll reboot one day and just get it. But it comes in over time in phases.
So so you're on Metro. You type Windows Update, and
now you can get to the old interface through this, by the way, if you click on the right thing.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So now, and then I go to Settings, and I'm seeing Windows Up.
There'll be two columns in results.
Yeah.
On the right side, you'll see something like Install Additional Updates or Install Optional Updates. Something like that.
Yeah.
Tap that, then you'll get to the control panel.
Yeah. So there's check for update. Okay, this is so brain dead.
No, I know.
So it says on the left, check for updates, and it's highlighted and boxed, and like that's what you should do.
That's really the one you want.
It's not the one. Don't tap that. Tap the one that's not highlighted. Install optional updates. Then you get the desktop update, which is a different thing.
Well, it's a different
But it isn't, because it's the same thing. It's just a different front end and the same update mechanism.
So when I talk about Metro not being complete and how they need to fix this is the type of thing. It's just not there yet.
No.
Well, I just think they should have left desktop.
Anyway, at least you have the final version of it.
I did.
And to go back to the original question from
PowerPoint. It says PowerPoint.
No. Back to your original question.
Yes. Is this Office 2013?
It is, yes.
No.
Wow.
It's not.
Don't want to do this show anymore. Get IAS in here. I want to go to Australia. What do you mean?
No. Here's why I'd say that. It's Office 2013 Home and Student RT.
Well, that's Office 2013.
Sort of.
Right, but the thing in our show notes, it says volume licensees get Office 2013. That's not the same Office as what's on your
Did not mean to
Surface.
suggest it was.
Just to make it even more confusing, yeah. So there's the Office for Windows RT, which is what you have on your Surface. Then there's Office 2013, which is what runs on Intel-based versions. It's going to be Intel-based Surface, and also any Windows 8 machines that are Intel-based. And that one is out. It already RTM'd. The final version is starting to trickle out to MSDN and TechNet. And now volume licensees, people who have software assurance.
Okay, but
how about them giants? No, okay. Obviously, it's different code because this is ARM.
No, but that's not even really the important part. I mean, I think the volume license version or versions must include Professional Plus at the very least, maybe Professional as well. Is that how that works? Is that they get different versions of it? They're different SKUs, essentially.
Yeah, different SKUs.
They're not getting a home and student version. It's volume license. So they're going to get the high-end, business-oriented.
Now,
SKUs.
let me ask another question.
Yes, and we will answer it completely differently.
But so obviously it's different. But is it the same functionality? In other words, I see the ribbon.
Obviously, it's different, but is it the same?
I see the ribbon, but are most of the features the same? I mean, it looks like it's Word.
Most of the features are the same.
Yeah.
But for people who want to use macros in Word.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Or record voice in OneNote, or use Outlook.
Well, okay,
Outlook.
so that's the one that people are kind of getting upset about. There is no Outlook at all for RT.
By the way, to me, that is the single greatest feature of Windows RT.
I agree. I don't mind.
The fact that Outlook is not on there is A-okay with me.
No, I'm with you on that. I guess enterprise users might not be so happy, but you can still use Exchange with the mail that's on here, right?
Or the web interface, which is great.
Right.
Well, or is good to great, depending on which version you have, I guess.
Great book, by the way. Good to great. That's the question. Is this, from an enterprise point of view, is Outlook necessary? And will it keep... Yes, and it will keep this out of the enterprise. No.
It won't. But yeah, I know.
It's semi-necessary.
You know, it was funny. We were talking about this at our talk yesterday, that in the months leading up to these launches, we often would use the phrase, we just don't know. And now we know, but it's still just as big of a mess as it ever was.
I think we titled the show, We Just Don't Know.
Yeah, now we know, and it's still a mess.
We still don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't mind. Again, I'm with you, Paul, on this one. I don't mind not having Outlook, but I'm not in an enterprise where Outlook is.
For example, Outlook is not present on the iPad. That hasn't stopped the iPad from popping all over the enterprise. And Windows RT, like the iPad, has a built-in Exchange ActiveSync mail client, calendar, not tasks, but and also contact management. Right. So it's all there. It doesn't work very good, but it's all there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not the best app, but yeah.
So speaking for the enterprise, Mary Jo, is it an adequate solution?
I mean, I think some people are going to try to force fit it, right? And then some people might try to use it in other ways. Like I connected my hosted Exchange through the mail client on my Surface RT, so I'm getting my work mail on my Surface RT. It's just a little clunky.
Yeah, and if you didn't have an Exchange server, you'd kind of be SOL, right?
Yeah.
No, you know what? It works with Gmail. It works with Hotmail
Office
and Outlook.
365, right? Couldn't you also go through Office 365?
Okay.
Yeah.
Any of the Exchange ActiveSync compatible services.
Yep.
The problem with it is that it's not very mature. So it doesn't support drag and drop, which is insane. And it doesn't support a unified inbox view, which I think many people would really like.
That's surprising. I mean, I need that. That's ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous that 18 months after Windows Phone added that feature, they don't have it in Windows 8.
That's kind of a standard, I think.
Yeah, I think they'll add it, and hopefully quickly.
Well, so I guess that really is the real question, is how this is obviously a 1.0 product. How much can it be improved?
0.9, whatever number you want to use.
0.0, whatever. It doesn't. But can this piece of hardware that I just bought, it can be upgraded and improved, and probably will be. I'll tell you, there's a little skittishness because of how Microsoft's handled Windows Phone 7, which is really essentially was a dead end.
Well, except that was a special case, because in that case it was confined by the carriers, and that doesn't happen.
So you won't have that problem here.
So you're going to get the Microsoft experience, for better or worse. And there's nothing blocking that from happening.
Okay. I'm glad I got it. I like it. It's a nice little toy. I'm going to bring it on the Mac cruise, which will be interesting. Yeah.
It's time to see if it's resilient to seawater.
Yeah.
And well, I guess we'll.
No, I'm not. No, I like it. I'm not throwing it overboard. In fact, it's interesting. I don't know. I think it got worse reviews than it deserved. But then there's Paul Thurrott, who really hated it. So maybe I'm wrong.
I don't hate it. I just hate the people who use it. No. I just think it's immature. It's just not. It's not quite there. I do, like I said, I do think this platform, and I don't mean the hardware platform, but the software platform, is the future. I really do. And RT takes a very hard approach to backwards compatibility, which is something Microsoft doesn't typically do.
Right.
And I think eventually that is going to pay off big time. It's just tough because obviously when you look at the top 10, Windows applications or the browser plugins or whatever, not there. And that's going to change.
I don't mind. And maybe this is the secret, is those of us who haven't been using Windows much in the last few years, we're fine with this because we don't have those expectations. And I think that I love Metro. I just think the tiles are beautiful.
Wow.
It's the best desktop. It's just a gorgeous desktop. I love how it's live and it's happening, and it's visual. It's a really nice tablet interface. I wish desktop weren't there. I think that's that one concession to backwards compatibility is kind of.
I think Microsoft also wishes for that.
Yes,
and
that's what I think too.
They can't get to that until they plug all the holes, and they will. It's just going to take another rev.
MDOP 2012 virtualization.
Yeah, we should just run through all these fast.
Would you just do that for me? Because I don't even know what it means.
Yeah. So this week, besides all the activities happening, Microsoft started rolling out a whole bunch of final versions of products people have been waiting for. So Windows Server 2012 Essentials went GA, generally available this week. That's the small business server that Paul likes so much.
Right.
Likes and uses.
And uses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. MDOP 2012 is the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack. I'm going to talk more about that in one of my picks. And that is out this week. A lot of people have been looking for that. So that's another interesting one. And on the CRM front, Microsoft this week said that they're going to have a version of Dynamics CRM, their CRM product, available for Windows 8 by middle of 2013, which is a lot sooner than people thought that was going to show up. So that was a big deal. They also announced that they're changing their mobile client strategy with CRM, and that they're going to first come out with browser-based version of CRM for people who want to use it on an iPad, on Android, on iPhone, on Windows Phone. And then by the middle of 2013, they're going to start rolling out native clients for mobile CRM for Windows 8, Windows Phone, and for the iPad. And what's really interesting is they were going to charge people $30 for each of those clients. They announced earlier this year, and now they've decided instead it's going to be free. Surprising. Microsoft actually cuts prices on a product. Unbelievable. So there you go. All your news of the week rounded up.
Boom, boom, boom.
Do those apps come with Xbox Live achievements, Mary Jo?
Yes, they do. No, they don't. We just don't know.
Because that would be awesome.
That would be awesome, especially since he's 11th prestige and wants the world to know.
Actually, since you mentioned it, I will tell people that once you hit 20th prestige in Call of Duty, you have the option to reset all of your stats and go back to the beginning, which I did.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So people look at me and they're like, oh, look at this little level 17 loser.
And
he's probably going to be really bad.
Them, and then you kick their butts, their booties. I love it. That must be fun for somebody who has not much of a life. So we're going to take a...
Yikes!
Are you okay? Are you getting thrown out? Are you okay in there?
Sorry, I just got stabbed in the back. I'm okay.
No, I'm just teasing you. I'm teasing you because you know what? I get beaten by 5-year-olds when I play that game, and so I don't. It's not.
My son walks into my office every once in a while and delivers a line like the following: "I just played Call of Duty for the first time in 2 weeks and had a 53 kill streak." Like, okay, thanks. I've never done that and never will.
They're young. Give them time. They'll wear out, be old, and incompatible like us. You know, we still got our audiobooks, Paul, you and me. Mm-hmm. And that's a wonderful thing. We can listen in the car. We can get a little crazy. We just put on the headphones.
By the way, did I hear, is there an Audible app coming for Windows 8? Does that sound right? Did you see that?
Yeah, I heard that too.
I think so. Yeah, I think it is.
Isn't that
I think
great?
I saw that. Okay.
You know, they when Audible first came out, they had a Windows app that was just, okay, it was basically the iTunes of audiobooks. It was horrible. It
was really bad.
Sync up to it.
And by the way, if you have a Rio Carbon, you can still use that app.
It still works
to sync audiobooks to your device. You bet.
But thank goodness they've abandoned that. And what they do now, if you have iTunes, is it just takes it and will put it on a device, and that's really the easiest way. I'm already loading up my new iPad Mini with books so that I can bring it on the plane on the way to Australia. I got a 14.5-hour flight in economy class next to a 9-year-old.
Yeah,
it's going to be good. So I'm putting a lot of books on there. But if you commute, I walk the dog, I'm listening to audiobooks. I pretty much have it throughout the house. In fact, I was real pleased. I just got a dead-on receiver that does AirPlay, and I'm able to listen to my audiobooks on my stereo upstairs. I'm so happy. Audible is wherever you want to listen, my friend. And with 100,000 books, you can listen an awful lot. I want you to visit audible.com and take a look at the selection, everything from history to mysteries, nonfiction, to fiction, stories for young people and adults, sci-fi and fantasy, you better believe. Ooh, a new Springsteen biography. Ooh.
By the way, if you haven't read it, you have to read the Pete Townsend.
Was it you who mentioned it? Somebody mentioned that, and he wrote it. It's an autobiography, right?
Yeah, you have to read that. I don't even really like The Who that much, but that book is fascinating.
Well, I do. It's called Who Am I? Who?
That's not my pick, though.
No, but I'm putting that in there. Do I have? Oh, yeah, I've got some credits. Yay, I'm adding that to the cart. It's fun. I love having audiobooks. Now, we're going to tell you how you get a book free, but the problem, of course, is there's so many great books. What you just heard was a dramatic reenactment of what audiobook listeners like Paul and I do when we get together. Have you heard? Did you hear? It's and it's so much fun. So what's your recommendation?
So I have two, because one of these is a pick I had made just a long time ago, and we never got it in because we weren't doing that kind of ad at the time or whatever. But I had mentioned some weeks ago, the Hobbit, the two versions of the Hobbit that are available. What I've discovered, So what I've discovered since then is that Audible actually has a Tolkien page. So if you go to audible.com/Tolkien, you can get to all of the books that are available on Audible.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's just good to know about. I just wanted to get that one out there. And they have, obviously, the two Hobbit versions are in there, the various Lord of the Rings books, and some other ones like Children of Hurin and so forth. So there's that. But this is going to sound goofy, but I guess this movie came out sometime this year, but the original book version of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that. Is it
this
good?
One it's awesome. And the reason it's awesome is it's this is going to sound like a crazy comparison, but it's a little bit like those Alan First books where it takes place in history, and the history is actually really accurate.
Yeah.
And so it's like that, except it interjects this kind of crazy vampire hunter thing into, the vampires are the reasons for slavery in the United States and the cause of the Civil War. And it's got this awesome commingling of fact and insane fiction. And it's actually a really awesome story.
Now, is this the guy who wrote Pride and Prejudice and Zombies as well? I bet it is.
This came in the wake of that, but is it the same person? I don't know. Click on the name. Go back up and
let's see. Seth Graham Smith.
That sounds familiar.
Yes, he wrote Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
That makes sense.
He and Jane Austen.
Yeah, right. That one is awesome. So that makes total sense.
He also wrote a book. Might be interesting. His older book, How to Survive a Horror Movie: All the Skills to Dodge the Kills.
Right. Like don't go upstairs.
Yeah, don't go in the attic.
Don't lock yourself in a closet. Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, bring friends. Yeah. Well, anyway, Abe Lincoln Vampire. I'm putting that on my list.
It's really
too.
fun. I think it's great.
I need books for my trip. It's gonna be a long
I'm not sure about
flight.
the movie version, but the book is
movie version got panned.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm tempted. Anyway, here's the deal. If you go to audible.com/windows, you can sign up for the gold account. That's the book a month subscription. Subscriptions, by the way, are the way to go. Because with your subscription, you also get, I think you get the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. I can't remember. You get extra stuff. And it's the most affordable way to build your library. But your first month is free. And your first book is free. And that means you can cancel anytime, pay nothing, and keep it forever. Free is free. So I want you to try it. Go to audible.com/windows. We just gave you about 12 books. It'd be worth listening to. It's really fantastic. We're big fans here.
Yes.
Awesomeness. I did forget to mention that Audible is offering a free download still of the Sanderson book, Legion, at audible.com/Sanderson. If you haven't read that, it's a really good novella.
Oh, okay.
I really like it. And that's even if you're already a member or if you don't want to become a member, it's just you go there, it's just a freebie that you can download. So my apologies. I left that out of the ad. Audible.com/Sanderson. If you're really skeptical about audiobooks, this is a way you could just try it with no obligation at all.
Not to be confused with Legion, the sequel to The Exorcist.
No. This is actually, it's cool. It's the guy is a detective who uses his multiple personalities to help solve cases. He hallucinates. There's all these people around him. It's actually great. I love it. Funny and fun.
Cool.
All right, let's get to our picks here. We can wrap this puppy up. I've got a cable guy coming in 3 minutes, and I don't want to miss him.
And we haven't gotten kicked out of here, which is amazing, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's getting darker.
We've gotten lots of suspicious looks.
What are they doing?
And actually, the guy who was taking down everything gave us drinks, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did.
Yeah, so
that was nice of him. And he didn't take your fruit tray that's holding up your laptop.
I know.
It's good man.
Yeah.
So what do you got for us?
Okay, so I've got tip of the week. Some Microsoft ebook stuff. I love these like PDF ebook things. I'm really into this stuff, especially for technical topics. So Microsoft has a free ebook called Introducing Windows 8, an overview for IT professionals, which I believe is 11 chapters. I want to say it's about 270 pages long. Jerry Honeycutt, awesome looking. I haven't read through it yet. It just came out. But you can get it for free. all you have to do is tweet about it. I've got the link in the show notes, but also on my site. I just blogged about it this morning. So that's a cool one. And then the other one, this one is a paid book, but it's following in the model of the Charles Petzold Programming Windows 6th edition. Remember, where you pay a little bit if you buy it right up front, and then the longer you wait, the more it costs. And they're writing it over time, so the first edition is out. The first preview edition's out now. There'll be another preview edition in a few months, and then a few months after that, they'll have the final edition. So for $10, if you buy it before the end of next week, you can get Windows Phone 8 Development Internals. Apparently this is an update to an existing book, Windows Phone 7 Development Internals, which I don't believe I read, but I've heard it's very, very good, and I did buy it, so I'll be reading that in the days ahead. But that one's available on O'Reilly.com, and I've also blogged about it, so you can find it on my site. But, cheap at $10. I mean, it's just, if you're looking into Windows Phone 8 development, that's an awesome and an inexpensive choice.
And the SDK is free, right? Microsoft doesn't charge to do that, right? Yeah. So good deal. $10, you're golden.
Yep.
Also, a software pick of the week, and I wonder, because Google released new Google Search for iOS as well, I wonder if this has the same features. It's for Windows 8.
Yes. So if you're familiar with Google Search on iOS, this is exactly the same thing.
Awesome.
But
not for RT.
No, curiously, the first version only runs on Windows 8, but it might be because they didn't have the devices to test it.
Right,
so I'm sure it's going to come to Windows RT. The three things that this does, I think, all of which are useful. One is it is a front end for Google Search, so it looks a lot like the web page. You type a search into an address bar, or into a search box rather, brings up the search results. It looks a lot like the web page. Okay, so that's basic. It integrates Google Search into the search charm. So if you use Windows 8 or Windows RT, you can do Windows key plus, actually it's Q, right? Q, and you can do a search, and you can search the files and the settings and the apps on your computer. You can also search against particular apps. So you can type in a search term and say, I want to search against the store for this, or I want to search against the web, or I want to search against Bing. Now you can search against Google. So it search right into the system. Very valuable. But the third thing, and this is the most intriguing bit to me, is clearly there's some aspect of Chrome built into this as well. Because you get that Chrome, when you do a new tab in Chrome and it gives you the grid of all the Google apps and service, that appears in this app as well. So when you sign in with your Google account, you get your apps. So it's got Google Play in there. It's got Gmail, Google Calendar, Maps, all that stuff, all available from within this app. So it's kind of a multi-function, big front end to a lot of Google stuff. And so if you use Google services at all, it's free and it's something you're going to want. So it's a good choice. It's definitely something to check out.
And I hope that they get it for. I would really like to have it on the Surface tab.
There's no way they're not going to.
Yes, I'm sure they're planning on it.
All they do is check a box. It's the simplest thing in the world.
Right. Enterprise pick of the week, and already I've got somebody on Twitter. I think it's on Twitter. I can't tell. It's in that people pane on my Windows RT saying, "It's okay, Mary Jo. I'm excited about MDOP."
Yay! There's two of us.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. I like MDOP too.
I know.
Oh, who doesn't?
Everyone does. Well, actually, if you think nobody does, 44 million users of MDOP currently.
How many? 44?
44 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a big deal. It may seem kind of dull, but so it's MDOP 2012 is my pick, and that just came out this week and is now generally available. So what MDOP is it's a bundle of 6 different tools for management and virtualization, and it's for users, mostly for business users who have software assurance. You also can use MDOP if you have Windows Intune as well. The two new things that are noteworthy about MDOP, there's a number of things that are, but the two biggest ones to me are there's a new tool in it called UEV, User Experience Virtualization, and that lets you retain your settings without having to reconfigure your apps or desktop settings when you're moving around on different devices. And every time you log into Windows 7 or Windows 8, you'll have your current settings there with you. The other new component is App Virtualization App V 5.0, and Dart 8 also. So all of these things are new. They're all part of the new MDOP 2012 that's available through the Microsoft Volume Licensing site for Windows 7 and Windows 8. You also can get it on TechNet and MSDN as of this week.
Awesome. Codename pick of the week.
Codename pick of the week is Polaris. And it's funny what this is a codename for. Polaris is a codename for the December service pack for Dynamics CRM. I asked them why they picked Polaris, and they said it's the bright star on the horizon that we were building towards.
They were looking.
And I know, isn't that great? So,
oh, you skeptic, Paul! You're such a skeptic.
But I'll tell you what's in Polaris, the December update that's coming up. If you're a Microsoft CRM user, you get deeper connections to Yammer. So, Microsoft just bought Yammer, the enterprise social networking company. There's tighter links in between CRM and CRM Online and Yammer now in this update that's coming. Also ties into Skype, another Microsoft acquisition. So they're finally starting to integrate all these things they're buying into CRM, which is very interesting. And then there's some updates around the workflow look and feel to it, so it's more process-centric. That's all coming in your December update this year, which is one of two big updates that Microsoft CRM is doing this year. What's going on over there?
So I just wanted to point out, given my rich history with certain programming titles, that Polaris was also the code name for a Delphi 2.0.
Well, there you go. There you go. I also want to point out,
all I'm saying is Delphi had it first.
We have a great fan who apparently is a big fan of this show, who sent us a bunch of interesting stuff, including an Atari Portfolio computer.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, look at that. Did you ever use that, Paul? Is that because he said
wait. Don't open that yet. That's the one that the kid from Terminator 2 used, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, he hacked into the ATM machine with that thing. Right? That's what that is.
Oh, that's so funny.
Buy those. They were really hard to find. I think Atari was, I don't know if they were going down the tubes at the time or something, but they're very constrained.
He also sent you this Microsoft Basic for the Atari 800 computer.
Oh, nice.
It's a cartridge. He says, I've always enjoyed watching Windows Weekly. Back in your cottage years, you'd introduced Paul by listing his great works. It was always funny when you get to the Delphi Free Super Bible. I figured you needed a prop to really deliver, so I ordered the book from Amazon through a third party for you. That's the one we have on the shelf.
Wow.
He said, I feel you need something for the Windows 8 launch day. We didn't get this on in time. With the release of, this is something, a Microsoft early product, Microsoft Basic for Atari. It's finally here.
If Windows 8 doesn't work out, they can always go back to
Armando Flores of Del Rio, Texas. Thank you. And this is shrink wrapped, unopened.
It's funny, those little screenshots on the box look a lot like tiles.
Wow. There's
Maybe
prior
that's where
art,
they got
baby.
the idea.
Prior art. Anyway, thank you, Armando. It's so nice. He bought a brick, and he's a very friendly fella. And when you come out here, Paul, I'll let you play with my new portfolio.
With Atari Basic.
Yeah.
What's the little Atari computer called again?
The Portfolio.
Portfolio, yeah.
Listen to that hinge.
Yep, just like a Surface.
Yeah, it does.
We now know where the inspiration came for the Surface. I'm wearing this hat home.
I love like a chair on a porch.
I hope you don't mind, Armando. This is shrink wrapped. It's like he's been saving it for special occasion.
Great.
All right. How about that? Thank you, Paul Thurrott. Thank you, Mary Jo Foley. And thank you to the Bellagio Hotel for providing refreshments.
They have kicked us out of here. So many people have walked in.
I know.
As if to torch the place, then saw us and kind of backed out,
Oh, there's a show going on.
Uh-oh.
If only they knew.
Paul Thurrott is at the SuperSite for Windows, winsupersite.com. He's also the author of Windows Phone Secrets, the brand new one, someday, and the brand new Windows 8 Secrets, which is brand new. Are you going to do a Windows Phone 8 book?
I am right now writing a Windows Phone 8.
How did I know?
Yeah, a Windows Phone 8 book, yes.
How did I know? The guy is a glutton for punishment.
WindowsPhone.com.
And
I've taken the worst the worst part of publishing and continued with that, and I've taken out the part where I get paid.
Oh, good.
It's like completely new experience.
Oh, that's lovely. Smart man. That's right. That's the one that's on the web.
Yeah.
What's the address for that?
WindowsPhonebook.com.
WindowsPhonebook.com. And Mary Jo is such a slacker. All she does is blog at allaboutmicrosoft.com.
What the heck?
What the heck?
It's your Windows Phone book.
Get to work.
No. Hey, I'm brewing beer, too. As soon as we're home, that's next up on the agenda. It's been a while.
You'll be able to dip your cup out the window and pick up the water for your beer.
Yuck.
Good Vegas water.
No, I mean in New York.
Oh, in New York, even better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wait a minute. I've got this just in. Link from the chat room. I don't know if this is... It says Oprah Winfrey's favorite things.
She called the Surface a Mercedes-Benz.
The Mercedes-Benz.
I assume because it's so expensive.
Microsoft Surface makes Oprah's list of favorite things.
Do you think Oprah's list is sponsored, or do you think this is
Yes!
spontaneous? I love this thing.
Oprah, I am so sad. How could she even know?
I know. How could
The
you?
iPad was her favorite thing 2 years ago. I guess Apple didn't pony up enough dough.
Right.
The full-size keyboard built right into the cover makes work easy. The very smart kickstand makes watching a movie or Skyping a friend a delight. The less than a pound and a half weight. This is a press release.
If she uses the term fast and fluid in this little description,
we'll know.
Or reimagined.
She says, the many other features make it fun for work and play. Now that's a wowzer.
yikes.
Wowzers!
I
don't think that's a Sanofsky word. Wowzer.
Sure.
She doesn't even have a TV show anymore. What does she need? What does she need to do that for? That's bizarre. Anyway,
funny.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mary Jo. Safe travels back home. We look forward to seeing you in your normal environment next Thursday. It will not be me.
So do we.
Yes,
So do we.
I bet you'll be glad to sleep in your own bed for a change.
Yes.
Tom Merritt, I think, is hosting next week. Yeah, and for the next couple of weeks. I am on a cruise to Australia.
Oh, right. Yeah. Have fun on that.
It's a Mac Mania cruise, and I'm going to wear my Atari hat and carry my Surface tablet. Just make them crazy.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern is when we do Windows Weekly. That is at a new time UTC, 1800 UTC. No, I'm sorry, 1900 UTC.
Is that Zulu time?
Zulu. 1900 Zulu time. But that's because we changed. You know, we're off summertime next Sunday. So we move. Daylight savings time is off, but Zulu never moves. Zulu is a fixed target.
Here we go.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Oh, my nose.